I've always been good at reading systems. Networks, firewalls, encryption protocols, they all follow patterns. People think cybersecurity is about technology, but it's really about understanding behavior. Predicting what someone will do before they do it. I should have applied that skill to my marriage sooner. My name is Alex Turner, and I run a small but profitable cybersecurity firm in Portland, Maine. Nothing fancy. We protect local businesses from ransomware attacks, set up secure networks, consult on data protection. The work pays well enough for a comfortable life. A 3-bedroom colonial in a decent neighborhood, 2 cars, annual vacations. Lauren, my wife of 7 years, worked in PR and made good money too. We were, by all appearances, successful. It was 3:15 in the morning when everything changed. I couldn't sleep. Insomnia had been my companion for weeks, though I hadn't connected the dots yet. I was in my home office, a converted spare bedroom where I kept my equipment. Multiple monitors glowed in the darkness, displaying feeds from the security system I'd installed throughout our house. Call it paranoia or professional habit, but I liked knowing my home was secure. That's when I noticed the gap. Our system logged everything. Every motion sensor trigger, every camera activation, every door opening. But there were holes in the data. Specific times when cameras went offline. Always between midnight and 3 a.m. Always on nights when Lauren claimed to be working late. My stomach tightened. I pulled up the raw logs, bypassing the user interface Lauren had access to. I built in a backdoor when I installed the system, not because I distrusted her, but because I'm thorough. The deleted footage wasn't actually deleted. It was archived in a partition she didn't know existed. I clicked play on a file from 2 weeks ago. The video showed our living room at 1:30 a.m. Lauren entered through the front door, but she wasn't alone. A man followed her, tall, well-dressed, confident. I didn't recognize him. They were laughing, touching, kissing. Then they moved upstairs, toward our bedroom. I stopped the video. My hands were shaking. 7 years. 7 goddamn... Based on his Instagram, enjoyed posting shirtless gym selfies and inspirational quotes about success. The messages between them made me nauseous. Can't wait to see you tonight. Alex is in Boston until Thursday. You're so much more exciting than him. He's always working. I think I'm falling for you. That last one was from Lauren, dated 3 days ago. I sat back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. The smart thing would be to confront her immediately, file for divorce, split everything 50-50, move on. That's what a rational person would do. But I've never been just rational. I'm methodical. Lauren wanted to play games? Fine. But she'd forgotten something crucial. I built the systems she was trying to manipulate. I knew every vulnerability, every backdoor, every weakness. She was about to learn that underestimating your opponent is the fastest way to lose. Barrett Lauren came home at 7:30 that morning, just as I was making coffee. She looked perfect. Makeup flawless, hair styled, wearing the expensive blouse I'd bought her for her birthday. She smiled at me like nothing was wrong. "Morning, babe. You're up early." I smiled back. Couldn't sleep. "How was your evening? You said you had a late meeting with that new client." "Oh, it was exhausting. You know how demanding these people can be. We didn't finish until almost 2. She poured herself coffee, completely at ease. "But I think we landed the account." That's great." I kept my voice neutral. "Which client was it again?" "The restaurant group. The one opening locations in South Portland." She didn't even hesitate with the lie. "Anyway, I'm going to shower and head into the office. Big day." She kissed my cheek and walked away. I could smell cologne on her. Expensive, masculine. Definitely not mine. I waited until I heard the shower running, then checked her phone again. She'd texted Bryce at 6:45 a.m. Close call. He was awake when I got home. Need to be more careful. Bryce's response. Maybe it's time to tell him. We can't keep doing this forever. Lauren. Not yet. I need to figure out the financial stuff first.
Are we talking? The kind that would make the NSA jealous.
Shit. Okay. When do you need it? Today. You got it. I'll bring it by the office this afternoon. Thanks, Sam. I owe you. You okay, man? I will be. The next phase required patience. Lauren thought she was being clever, but she'd made a critical error. She'd underestimated me. She saw me as the boring husband who worked too much and didn't pay enough attention to her. She thought I was oblivious. She was wrong. Over the next week, I documented everything. Using the equipment Sam provided, micro cameras, GPS trackers, audio recorders, I mapped out Lauren's entire affair. Every meeting with Bryce, every lie she told me, every moment she thought she was getting away with it. Bryce lived in a trendy apartment downtown, the kind with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. He drove his BMW like an asshole, cutting people off and parking in handicapped spots. His Instagram was a monument to narcissism. Photos of expensive watches, bottles of champagne, captions about grinding and living your best life. He was exactly the kind of person I despised. I learned his schedule: client meetings, gym sessions, evenings with Lauren. He was predictable, which made him vulnerable. One afternoon, I followed him to an open house in Cape Elizabeth. Big colonial, ocean views, $2 million price tag. While he was inside schmoozing potential buyers, I slipped a small gift into his BMW. It was Lauren's favorite designer handbag, a Prada she'd bought last month for $2,000. Inside, I'd placed a congratulatory banner reading, "Congrats on your engagement," along with a box of condoms and approximately 4 pounds of glitter. The glitter was Sam's idea. "It's the herpes of craft supplies," he'd said. "You'll never get rid of it." I also left a note. "She's all yours now. A." Then I waited. Lauren called me that evening, hysterical. "Someone stole my Prada bag. I can't find it anywhere." "Did you check your car?" I asked, feigning concern. "Of course I checked my car. It's gone, Alex. That bag cost $2,000. "Maybe you left it at the office." Message. "You're being paranoid." Am I? Because my boss just asked me about inappropriate client relations. Someone sent him an anonymous email with photos of us at that restaurant downtown. Someone is watching us, Lauren. I smiled in the darkness of my office. The email to Bryce's boss had been simple. Photos of Bryce and Lauren together, with timestamps showing they were meeting during work hours, along with a polite question about whether this was company policy. Nothing illegal, nothing threatening, just information. "We need to be more careful," Lauren said, her voice smaller now. "Careful? Lauren, I think we need to stop. This is getting too complicated." "No, Bryce, please, I'm handling it. Just give me a little more time." "Time for what?" "To figure out the divorce, to make sure I get what I'm owed. Then we can be together properly." There was a long silence. Then Bryce said, "I don't know if I want to be with someone who's this calculating about leaving their husband." "You said you loved me." "I said I was falling for you. That's different." The call ended. I could hear Lauren crying through the phone connection. I felt nothing. Mrs. Franklin cornered me the next morning as I was getting my mail. She was 78, lived alone in the house next door, and knew everyone's business. Normally I avoided her, but today I made an exception. "Alex, dear, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I saw Lauren's car leave very late last night, around 2 a.m., and it wasn't the first time." I arranged my face into concern. "Really? She's been working such long hours lately. This new client is very demanding." Mrs. Franklin's expression said she didn't believe that for a second. "Of course, dear, I'm sure that's it. Though I did see a man's car parked outside Bryce Halden's apartment building. You know, that nice young real estate agent. And it looked an awful lot like Lauren's vehicle. Same color, same model. Funny coincidence." "Very funny," I agreed. "Well, I just thought you should know. in case you were wondering where she was spending her time. Mrs. Franklin patted my arm. You're a good man, Alex. You deserve better than... well, you deserve better. Thank you, Mrs. Franklin. She shuffled back to her house. Mission accomplished. But the real kicker was the restraining order request, claiming I'd been emotionally abusive and financially controlling. I read through the documents in my office while Sam watched nervously. This is bad, right? Sam asked. She's really going for the throat. She thinks she's going for the throat, I corrected. She doesn't realize she's already lost. How do you figure? I opened my laptop and pulled up a folder. Because while she was planning this with her lawyer, I was documenting everything. Every lie, every affair, every attempt to hide assets. And I've got something she doesn't know about. What? Video evidence of her and Bryce staging this entire narrative. Amaz's eyes widened. You're kidding. I installed a camera in her car, voice activated. Last week, she and Bryce had a very interesting conversation about how to make me look like the bad guy. They discussed faking evidence of abuse, making me seem unstable, even trying to get me arrested for harassment. Holy shit. Yeah. So when we go to court, she's going to play her video evidence, carefully edited footage that makes me look terrible, and then I'm going to play the full unedited versions, along with the audio of her planning the whole thing. That's actually kind of brilliant. It's not brilliant, it's just thorough. I closed the laptop. But we're not done yet. Before this goes to court, I want to make sure everyone knows exactly who Lauren Turner really is. The first court date was set for 3 weeks out. In the meantime, Lauren moved in with her best friend Vanessa, another PR consultant who'd never liked me. Vanessa was the kind of person who posted motivational quotes about strong women and toxic masculinity, while treating service workers like garbage. They were perfect for each other. I used the time to prepare. Sam helped me organize all the evidence into a presentation that would be impossible to refute. We had timestamps, metadata, GPS coordinates, everything. But I also had something else planned. Something that would destroy Lauren's credibility before we ever set foot in a courtroom. I started with Bryce. His real estate career depended on reputation. Clients needed to trust him with the biggest financial decisions of their lives. So when anonymous reviews of them around downtown Portland, coffee shops, community boards, telephone poles. Within 2 days, Bryce's phone was ringing off the hook, with angry calls from people who thought he was soliciting affairs. His landlord received one too, along with a polite note suggesting that Bryce had been conducting business from his apartment, in violation of his lease. I watched from across the street as Bryce argued with his landlord in the parking lot. His face was red, his gestures frantic. The landlord handed him a notice, probably a warning about lease violations. Perfect. Lauren's world was crumbling too, though she didn't realize it yet. I'd gained access to her email correspondence with Vanessa, and what I found was gold. The two of them had been planning my downfall for months, discussing strategies to maximize Lauren's divorce settlement. But more importantly, they'd discussed other things. Tax fraud, client manipulation, even blackmail of a former employer. Vanessa had been helping Lauren hide assets, moving money into offshore accounts that she planned to claim I'd hidden. It was projection at its finest, and it was all documented in their emails. I copied everything and sent it anonymously to Vanessa's other clients, along with a simple note. Thought you should know who you're working with. The response was immediate. 3 of Vanessa's biggest clients dropped her within a week. Her business partner started asking questions about the firm's finances. The IRS received an anonymous tip about unreported income. I didn't do that last part. Someone else did. Turns out Vanessa had made a lot of enemies over the years, and once blood was in the water, the sharks came circling. Lauren called me, furious. Did you do something to Vanessa's business? Why would I do that? I kept my voice neutral. I've been focused on preparing for court. Someone sent her clients information about private conversations. Someone's trying to destroy her reputation. Maybe she should have been more careful about what she put in writing. This is you, isn't it? You're trying to isolate me. Lauren, I'm not trying to do anything except protect my business and my assets. If Vanessa's having professional problems, that's between her and her clients. You're such a bastard. Looked nervous but determined, wearing a conservative dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. They saw me and whispered to each other. I nodded politely. Judge Patricia Rowan presided over the hearing. She was in her 60s, with gray hair and a reputation for not tolerating bullshit. I'd done my research. She'd been a prosecutor before becoming a judge, and she had no patience for dramatics. Ashford went first, painting a picture of me as a controlling, emotionally abusive husband who'd isolated Lauren from her friends and family. He presented edited security footage from our house, showing me yelling at Lauren, context carefully removed to make me look unstable. Your Honor, my client has endured years of psychological abuse. Mr. Turner monitored her every move, controlled their finances, and created an environment of fear and intimidation. She's asking for this restraining order not out of spite, but out of genuine concern for her safety. Judge Rowan looked at me. Mr. Turner, you're representing yourself? Yes, Your Honor. I couldn't afford an attorney after my wife froze our joint accounts. That got a raised eyebrow from the judge. But I do have evidence I'd like to present. Go ahead. I opened my laptop and connected it to the courtroom's display system. Your Honor, the video Mr. Ashford showed was edited. Here's the full footage. I played the unedited version. It showed Lauren deliberately provoking me, saying cruel things about my past father, trying to get a reaction. When I finally raised my voice, telling her to stop, not threatening her, she'd smiled at the camera. She'd been performing. The courtroom went silent. I also have this, I continued, playing another video. This one showed Lauren and Bryce in her car, discussing their plan to fake evidence of abuse. Their voices were crystal clear. If we make him look unstable, I can get a restraining order. Then he can't contest the asset division. Are you sure this will work? Greg says judges always side with the wife in these situations, especially if there's any hint of abuse. I paused the video. Your Honor, I have hours of footage like this. My wife and her attorney have been planning to commit fraud against this court. Judge Rowan's expression was thunderous. She turned to Ashford. Counselor, yes, but enough. Mr. Ashford, your client's request for a restraining order is denied. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for investigation of possible perjury and fraud. She looked at me. Mr. Turner, I'm granting you a temporary restraining order against Mrs. Turner. She's not to contact you or come within 500 feet of your home or business. Your Honor, please, Lauren started. We're done here. Next case. Outside the courthouse, Lauren tried to confront me. Her makeup was ruined, her careful composure shattered. Ashford had already left, probably to call his malpractice insurance. You destroyed me, she said. You humiliated me in there. No, Lauren, you destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. I loved you once. Maybe, but you loved my money more. And when you thought you could take it and run, you didn't hesitate. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You forgot something important. I built the systems you tried to hack. I knew every move you were going to make before you made it. What happens now? Now? Now everyone knows who you really are. Your friends, your colleagues, your family, they all know you're a liar and a cheat. Bryce is about to lose his job because of the scandal. Vanessa's business is falling apart. And you? You're going to walk away from this marriage with nothing except your reputation in ruins. You can't do this. I already did. I turned to walk away, then stopped. Oh, and Lauren? The dog stays with me. Bailey never liked you anyway. I left her standing on the courthouse steps, crying for an audience that no longer cared. The fallout from the court hearing was immediate and brutal. By that evening, the story had spread through Portland's tight-knit professional community like wildfire. Lauren Turner, the polished PR consultant, had been exposed as a fraud in open court. The details were too salacious to keep quiet. The affair, the fake evidence, the plot to manipulate the legal system. Mrs. Franklin had been in the courthouse gallery. By dinner time, everyone in our neighborhood knew. I spent that evening at my office, working on a project that had nothing to do with cybersecurity. Sam sat at business. Shit, did it work? No, because I forwarded them the court transcripts showing she was lying. But she's not done fighting, Sam. She's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. So we're going full scorched earth? We're going full scorched earth. Bryce Halden's career was hanging by a thread. The anonymous reviews, the flyers, the complaints to his boss, it had all added up. His company had put him on probation, and he was one more incident away from being fired. I gave him that incident. Using a burner phone, I called his office pretending to be a client. I scheduled a showing for a luxury property in Falmouth, giving a fake name and number. When Bryce showed up to the empty house, he found something waiting for him. His BMW, parked in the driveway, had been decorated. Not damaged, just decorated. Every inch of it was covered in sticky notes, each one featuring a printed message. Homewrecker, cheater, liar, ask me about my affair. There were hundreds of them, covering the windows, the doors, the hood. It would take hours to remove them all, and the adhesive would leave residue. But the real gift was inside the car. I'd hired a professional locksmith to open it without damage, then filled the interior with biodegradable packing peanuts. Thousands of them, from floor to ceiling. I watched from a distance as Bryce discovered it. His reaction was everything I'd hoped for. Shock, rage, and finally, resignation. He called someone, probably Lauren, and I could see him gesturing wildly. Then, he called the police. 2 officers arrived, took a report, and basically told him there was nothing they could do. No damage had been done, no threats made. It was technically vandalism, but without witnesses or evidence of who did it, there was no case. One of the officers even smirked as he walked away. That evening, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered. "You think you're so clever." It was Bryce, his voice tight with anger. "I know it was you. I don't know what you're talking about. The packing peanuts, the sticky notes, all of it. You're harassing me." "Am I? Do you have any proof?" "I don't need proof. I know." Knowing and proving are cracks were showing. Lauren's support system was collapsing. Vanessa's business troubles had escalated. The IRS investigation was real, and her business partner had filed a lawsuit claiming financial impropriety. She'd stopped returning Lauren's calls, too busy trying to save her own career. Lauren's other friends were distancing themselves too. In the PR world, reputation is everything. Being associated with someone who'd been exposed as a liar in court was professional suicide. I knew this because I was monitoring Lauren's social media. She'd started posting vague, self-pitying messages about betrayal and fake friends. The comments were sparse and unsympathetic. But she still had one card left to play, and she played it 3 days before our next court date. A police officer showed up at my office with a complaint. Lauren was claiming I'd assaulted her during an encounter outside her friend's house. She had a bruise on her arm as evidence. The officer was professional but skeptical. "Mr. Turner, where were you last night between 8 and 10 p.m.? "At my office, working. My entire staff was here for a project deadline. I have security footage, time-stamped, showing me in the building the entire evening." "Can I see that footage?" I pulled it up immediately. Clear video of me at my desk, with timestamps matching the period Lauren claimed I'd attacked her. The officer nodded. I figured. "Look, between you and me, I heard about the court case. This looks like retaliation, but I have to file the report anyway." "I understand. Do what you need to do." He left, and I immediately called my new attorney. Yes, I'd finally hired one. Her name was Patricia Chen, and she specialized in defending against false accusations. "They're getting desperate," Patricia said after I explained the situation. false police reports, fake injuries. This is going to backfire on her spectacularly. I want to press charges. For filing a false report? That's difficult to prove. I have proof she wasn't anywhere near me. I also have proof she's been planning to fake evidence. The audio from her car, remember? That might not be admissible if she didn't know she was being recorded. Maine is a one-party consent state. I was in the car when
Audio recording of Lauren planning to fake evidence. The police report showing inconsistencies in her story. Mrs. Turner, the judge said, her voice cold, you've wasted this court's time with fabricated claims and false evidence. I'm finding you in contempt of court. Additionally, I'm ordering you to pay Mr. Turner's legal fees, and I'm referring your case to the district attorney for criminal charges. Lauren's public defender tried to object, but Judge Rowan cut him off. Your client has lied under oath, filed false police reports, and attempted to defraud this court. She's lucky I'm not holding her in jail pending trial. The restraining order against Mr. Turner is made permanent, and all of Mrs. Turner's claims regarding asset division are dismissed with prejudice. This case is closed. The gavel came down like thunder. Lauren stood there, shaking. Her public defender whispered something to her, and she nodded numbly. I gathered my papers and walked out without looking at her. Outside the courthouse, a small crowd had gathered. Word had spread about the case, and local reporters were waiting. I gave a brief statement about being vindicated and moved on. Lauren emerged a few minutes later and was immediately swarmed with questions. Mrs. Turner, why did you file false charges? Is it true you fabricated evidence? What do you have to say to people who trusted you? She pushed through them without answering, tears streaming down her face. I watched from my car, feeling nothing. Sam texted me. You see the news? You're trending locally. I didn't respond. I was busy tracking Bryce's location. He was at a bar downtown, the Rusty Anchor, a dive where lawyers and real estate agents went to drink away their problems. I decided to join him. The Rusty Anchor smelled like stale beer and broken dreams. It was the kind of place where Portland's professional class went when they wanted to pretend they were still working class, where expensive suits mixed with genuine blue-collar workers in an uneasy détente. Bryce was at the bar, 3 drinks deep, his tie loosened and his hair disheveled. He didn't notice me sit down 2 stools away. I ordered a whiskey and waited. It took him 10 minutes to recognize me. When he did, his face went through several emotions. Surprise. Worked 70-hour weeks to build a business from nothing. I'm the guy who thought he had a partner for life. I'm the guy who came home one day and discovered that his wife was screwing someone else in his own bed. She was unhappy. Then she should have left, filed for divorce, been honest. Instead, she decided to lie, cheat, and try to steal everything I'd worked for. And you helped her. I finished my drink. So no, I'm not a psychopath. I'm just someone who refuses to be a victim. Bryce stared into his glass. She told me you were controlling, that you didn't appreciate her. I'm sure she did. Lauren's very good at playing the victim. It's her specialty. I signaled the bartender for another round. Let me guess, she made you feel special, like you were rescuing her from a terrible situation, like you were the hero. He didn't respond, which was answer enough. Here's what you need to understand, Bryce. You weren't special. You were convenient, young, successful enough to be interesting, naive enough to believe her lies. If it hadn't been you, it would have been someone else. She loved me. She loved what you represented, an escape, a fresh start, someone who didn't know her well enough to see through her act. I pushed the fresh drink toward him. But now you're just another casualty of her ambition. She's not calling you anymore, is she? His silence confirmed it. She's moved on, I continued, probably already looking for her next mark. Someone with money. Someone who can help her rebuild her image. You're yesterday's news.
Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand something. I don't hate you. You're not worth hating. You're just a stupid kid who made bad choices. But Lauren? She knew exactly what she was doing. She manipulated both of us, and she'd do it again in a heartbeat if she thought she could get away with it. Bryce drained his drink in one gulp. So what now? You've won. She's destroyed. I'm about to lose my job. What more do you want? I want you to tracking on my own vehicle, monitoring my own network. The only gray area was cloning her phone, but I had legitimate access to it as her husband, and Maine law allows one-party consent for recordings. You're sure? Completely sure. There was a pause. You're either the luckiest client I've ever had, or the most prepared. I'm not sure which. Preparation is just luck that you make yourself. Well, your preparation paid off. The judge is also considering awarding you the entire marital estate as compensation for Lauren's misconduct. You could end up with everything. I don't want everything. I just want what's mine. That's noble, but you should take what the court gives you. She tried to destroy you. Don't feel guilty about winning. I didn't feel guilty. I felt empty. The story hit the local news that evening. Local PR consultant charged with perjury and fraud. Lauren's face was plastered across every channel, along with details of the case. Her professional reputation was annihilated. Social media was merciless. Her LinkedIn profile was flooded with comments. Her company's Facebook page was bombarded with one-star reviews. Someone created a Twitter account dedicated to documenting her lies. I watched it unfold with detached fascination. This was the power of information in the digital age. Once the truth was out, there was no containing it. Vanessa called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. You've destroyed her, she said without preamble. Are you satisfied? Did she send you to plead for mercy? She's suicidal, Alex. She can't leave her apartment. She's getting death threats online. This has gone too far. Has it? Because from where I'm sitting, this is exactly as far as it needed to go. She tried to ruin my life, Vanessa. She tried to steal my business, my reputation, everything. And you helped her. I was just being a friend. You were helping her commit fraud. Don't pretend you're innocent in this. I have the emails, remember? I know you were coaching her on how to hide assets, how to manipulate the system. You're just as guilty as she is. I could lose everything. Yes, you could, just like I almost did. I softened my voice slightly. But here's the thing, Vanessa. I'm not a problem anymore. Lauren's criminal trial was scheduled for 2 months out. In the meantime, she'd been fired from her PR firm. Not surprising, given that her face was synonymous with dishonesty. She'd moved out of Vanessa's place and into a cheap studio apartment in a rough part of town. I knew this because Mrs. Franklin told me. She'd run into Lauren at a grocery store and reported back with barely concealed glee. She looked terrible, Alex, absolutely terrible. No makeup, sweatpants, buying ramen noodles. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Thanks for letting me know, Mrs. Franklin. You're much better off without her, dear. You'll find someone worthy of you eventually. I doubted that, but I smiled and nodded. The final divorce decree came through on a Thursday. Judge Rowan had awarded me the house, the cars, my business, and all marital assets. Lauren got nothing except her personal belongings and a criminal record. I signed the papers in Patricia Chen's office, feeling nothing. How do you feel? Patricia asked. Relieved, tired, empty. That's normal. Divorce is traumatic, even when you win. Did I win, though? I mean, yes, I kept my assets and exposed the truth, but what did I actually gain? My marriage is over, my wife turned out to be a stranger, and I spent months consumed by revenge. That doesn't feel like winning. Patricia leaned back in her chair. Alex, you did what you had to do to protect yourself. Lauren made her choices, and she's facing the consequences. That's not revenge. That's justice. It feels like revenge. Maybe. But sometimes justice and revenge look the same from the outside. The difference is in the intent. You weren't trying to hurt her for the sake of hurting her. You were trying to stop her from hurting you. I destroyed her life. She destroyed her own life. You just made sure everyone could see it. I nodded, but I wasn't convinced. I ran into Lauren one last time, purely by accident. I was leaving the grocery store and she was walking in. We both froze. She looked terrible, exactly as Mrs. Franklin had described. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes hollow. She'd lost weight.
Stopped. For what it's worth, I didn't enjoy any of this. I didn't want to be the person who ruins lives, but you didn't give me a choice. I know. I left her standing there and didn't look back. 3 weeks before Lauren's criminal trial, I received an unexpected visitor at my office. Detective Laura Morrison from the Portland Police Department wanted to talk about my case. Mr. Turner, I'm investigating the circumstances around your divorce and the charges against your ex-wife. I have some questions about how you obtained certain evidence. My stomach tightened, but I kept my expression neutral. I'm happy to cooperate, Detective. What would you like to know? The security footage, the phone records, the GPS data. You gathered all of this yourself. That's correct. All from systems I owned and operated in my own home and vehicles. And the recordings of Mrs. Turner in her vehicle? I was present for those recordings. Maine is a one-party consent state. Detective Morrison pulled out a file. Mr. Turner, we have testimony from Mrs. Turner claiming you were not present for those recordings. She says you installed hidden devices in her car without her knowledge. She's lying. Again. I pulled up my own files on my computer. Detective, every recording I made has metadata showing when and where it was created. I can demonstrate that I was present for each one. Can you prove you were physically in the vehicle? I can prove I was in proximity to the vehicle, which is sufficient under Maine law. The recordings were made using my phone, connected via Bluetooth to a device I'd installed for legitimate security purposes. Lauren knew about the security system. I installed it with her permission after we had a break-in scare 2 years ago. This was technically true. I had installed a basic security system with her knowledge. I'd just expanded it later, without mentioning the upgrades. Detective Morrison studied me carefully. You're very thorough, Mr. Turner. I work in cybersecurity. Thoroughness is my job. Some might say you're too thorough, that you crossed ethical lines. Detective, my wife was committing fraud. She was planning to perjure herself in court to steal my business. I documented her crimes using legal means. If that makes me... Detective Morrison rattled me more than I wanted to admit. I called Patricia Chen immediately after she left. They're looking for reasons to throw out the evidence, I said. If they succeed, Lauren walks free. Alex, calm down. The evidence is solid. You documented everything properly. Unless they can prove you broke the law, which they can't, it stands. What if Lauren claims I hacked her phone? Did you? I cloned it using credentials I had legitimate access to as her husband. Technically not hacking. Technically is good enough. Look, the defense is going to try every angle they can think of. That's their job. But Judge Rowan has already reviewed the evidence and found it admissible. It would take something extraordinary to change that. What if something extraordinary happens? Then we deal with it. But stop catastrophizing. You've won, Alex. Don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Lauren had been too quiet, too accepting of her fate. She was desperate, and desperate people were unpredictable. I was right to be worried. 2 weeks before the trial, someone broke into my office. They didn't steal anything. They just destroyed my servers. Every hard drive was wiped, every backup corrupted. Years of work, gone. Except it wasn't gone, because I'm paranoid and I keep off-site backups in 3 separate locations. The break-in was annoying and expensive, but not devastating. The police investigated and found no evidence of who did it. But I knew. Lauren had one last desperate play, and she'd made it. I called her. She answered on the 3rd ring. Did you really think that would work? I asked. I don't know what you're talking about. The break-in.
destroying my servers. Did you think that would erase the evidence against you? Alex, I didn't. Save it. I have backups. Multiple backups. In locations you don't know about. All you did was commit another crime. I'm already facing criminal charges. What's one more? Exactly. What's one more? You're going to prison, Lauren. Nothing you do now will change that. So why keep fighting? There was a long silence. Then she said, because I have nothing left to lose. You took everything from me. My career, my reputation, my future.
Defense table, looking small and defeated. Her public defender, a tired-looking man named Robert Walsh, shuffled papers without much enthusiasm. He knew this was a losing case. The prosecution presented their evidence methodically. The fake police report, the perjury in divorce court, the audio recordings of Lauren planning to fabricate evidence, the emails discussing hiding assets. It was damning, comprehensive, irrefutable. Walsh tried to argue that I'd obtained the evidence illegally, but Judge Rowan shut him down immediately. Counselor, we've already litigated this issue. The evidence was legally obtained. Move on. He tried to paint Lauren as a victim of an abusive marriage, but the prosecution countered with testimony from neighbors, friends, and colleagues, all saying they'd never seen any signs of abuse. Mrs. Franklin was particularly effective, describing Lauren as cold and calculating. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, Lauren was released on bail, though she had to wear an ankle monitor and surrender her passport. I didn't attend the sentencing hearing. I'd seen enough of courtrooms to last a lifetime. Patricia Chen called me afterward with the results. 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of probation. She'll probably serve 12 months with good behavior. That's it? 12 months for perjury and fraud? It's a first offense, and she showed remorse. The judge was actually fairly harsh. She could have gotten probation only. I suppose that's something. Alex, it's over. You can move on now. Can I? Everyone in Portland knows this story. Every client, every colleague, every person I meet at a bar. I'm the guy whose wife tried to destroy him. You're also the guy who fought back and won. That's not a bad reputation to have. Maybe she was right, but it didn't feel like winning. I ran into Vanessa one last time at a coffee shop downtown. She was with a new client, pitching some campaign or another. She saw me and her face went pale. I walked over to her table. Vanessa, Alex, I'm actually in a meeting. This'll just take a second. I looked at her client. Absolutely. Did I care? Not even a little bit. 6 months after the trial, I was having dinner at a restaurant downtown when I saw them, Lauren and Bryce, sitting together at a corner table. They were both thinner, both looked tired, but they were together. I watched them for a moment, feeling nothing. No anger, no jealousy, no satisfaction, just emptiness. They'd both lost so much. Bryce had never found another real estate job in Maine and was working as a property manager for half his previous salary. Lauren was out on bail, pending her appeal, working at a call center because no PR firm would touch her. They deserved each other. I paid my bill and left without them seeing me. A year after the divorce was finalized, I sold the house. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a condo downtown, something modern and anonymous, a fresh start. Sam helped me move. As we carried boxes up to the new place, he said, "You ever regret how it all went down?" "Every day." "Really?" "Yeah. I regret marrying someone I didn't really know. I regret not seeing the signs earlier. I regret that it came to this." I set down a box. But I don't regret fighting back. She tried to destroy me, and I refused to let her. If that makes me the bad guy in someone's story, I can live with that. You're not the bad guy, boss. You're just the guy who refused to be a victim. That's what Patricia said. Patricia's smart. We finished moving in silence. Later that night, alone in my new place, I opened a bottle of whiskey and toasted the empty room. To fresh starts, and to never making the same mistake twice.
Lauren went to prison in January. I didn't attend, didn't follow the news coverage, didn't think about it. She was no longer my problem. Bryce left Portland shortly after, finally accepting that his reputation here was unsalvageable. Last I heard, he was selling insurance in New Hampshire. Vanessa's business collapsed under the weight of the IRS investigation and the exodus of clients. She moved to Boston and started over with a new firm, using her maiden name. Mrs. Franklin still gives me updates on neighborhood gossip, though there's less of it now. The Turner divorce had been the scandal of the decade. Everything else pales in... I looked up from my computer screen. I took Christmas off. That was 6 weeks ago, and you spent it here, in the office, alone. I had work to catch up on. You always have work to catch up on. That's not the point. Sam sat down across from me. Look, I know the divorce was brutal. I know what Lauren put you through. But at some point, you have to actually move on, not just tell people you've moved on. I am moving on. No, you're hiding. There's a difference. I wanted to argue, but he was right. I'd spent the last year in a state of suspended animation, not quite living, not quite dead, just existing. What do you want me to do, Sam? Go to therapy? Join a support group? Start dating again? Any of those would be better than this. He gestured around my office. You won, Alex. You beat her. You protected your business, your reputation, everything. But you're acting like you lost. Maybe I did lose. Maybe we both did. That's bullshit, and you know it. She's in prison. You're free. That's not a tie. She's in prison because I put her there. That doesn't feel like freedom. Sam stood up. You didn't put her there. Her choices put her there. You just made sure those choices had consequences. There's a difference. He left, and I sat alone with my thoughts. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went to a bar. Not the Rusty Anchor, too many memories, but a new place in the Old Port, trendy and anonymous. I ordered a whiskey and tried to blend into the crowd. It almost worked. Alex Turner? I turned to find a woman about my age, blonde, professional looking, smiling at me. Do I know you? Not personally, but I know who you are. Everyone in Portland does. She extended her hand. I'm Jennifer Walsh. I'm a lawyer. Corporate law, nothing dramatic. I just wanted to say that I followed your case, and I think you handled it remarkably well. Thanks, I think. Can I buy you a drink? I hesitated, then nodded. Aggressively. Within 3 months, we'd opened a satellite office in Boston and hired 5 new employees. The work was consuming, which was exactly what I needed. No time to think about Lauren, about the divorce, about the year I'd spent dismantling someone's life. But late at night, alone in my condo, the thoughts came anyway. Had I gone too far? Could I have handled it differently? Was Sam right that Lauren's consequences were her own fault, or had I orchestrated them too carefully? I didn't have answers. I just had questions and whiskey. Lauren was released from prison after serving 11 months. I found out from Mrs. Franklin, who'd somehow heard it through the neighborhood gossip network. She's living in Lewiston now, Mrs. Franklin reported over coffee, working at some nonprofit, keeping a low profile. Good for her. Aren't you curious about how she's doing? Not really. You spent 7 years married to her, Alex. Surely you feel something. I considered that. Did I feel something? Anger? Satisfaction? Regret? I feel tired, I said finally. That's all. Just tired. Mrs. Franklin patted my hand. That's normal, dear. What you went through, what you both went through, it takes a toll. But you're young. You'll recover. Will I? Of course you will. You're stronger than you think. I wished I believed her. Spring came, and with it a sense of renewal. The snow melted, the trees bloomed, and Portland came alive again. I found myself spending more time outside, less time hiding in my office. I called Jennifer Walsh. "I was wondering if you'd ever use that number," she said, sounding pleased. I wasn't sure I would, but I figured it was time to stop hiding. Hiding from what? From everything. From life. From the possibility that not everyone is like my ex-wife. Today it's a good realization to have. Coffee? Dinner, if you're free. I'm free. Dinner with Jennifer was easy. She asked about my work, my hobbies, my life before the divorce. She shared stories about her own career, her family, her disastrous attempts at learning to ski. We laughed, and it felt... That code for boring? It's code for not trying to steal your business and frame you for abuse. So yeah, compared to Lauren, maybe a little boring. But boring is good. He was right. Boring was good. One evening, Jennifer asked me about the divorce. We'd been dating for 3 months, and she'd carefully avoided the topic until now. What do you want to know? How you really feel about it. Not the public version, the real version. I thought about that. Honestly, I don't know. Some days I think I did what I had to do. Other days, I think I became the villain in my own story. Do you regret it? I regret that it happened at all. I regret marrying someone I didn't really know. I regret that it ended the way it did. But do I regret fighting back? No. She tried to destroy me, and I refused to let her. That doesn't make you a villain. Doesn't it? I systematically dismantled her life, her career, her reputation, her freedom. I didn't just win. I obliterated her. She tried to do the same to you. I know. But I succeeded, and she failed. That's the difference. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Alex, you're not a villain. You're someone who protected himself using the tools available. Was it harsh? Yes. Was it necessary? From what I know, yes. Could you have done it differently? Maybe. But you can't change the past. You can only decide how you move forward. And how do I do that? By letting go. By accepting that what happened, happened, and that you're allowed to move on. By being open to the possibility that not everyone will hurt you. Is that what you want? For me to be open to you? Eventually, when you're ready, but I'm not in a rush." I kissed her. It felt like forgiveness. A year after Lauren's release from prison, I saw her again. I was in Lewiston for a business meeting, and I spotted her in a coffee shop. She was alone, reading a book, looking older and tired, but peaceful. I almost left without saying anything, but something made me walk over to her table. "Lauren." She looked up, and for a moment, I saw fear in her eyes. Then it passed, replaced by resignation. "Alex, couldn't let you win." I understand. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry. For all of it. I know. You said that before. I mean it more now. Prison gives you a lot of time to think about your choices. We sat in silence for a moment. Then I said, "I forgive you, Lauren. Not because you deserve it, but because I need to. I can't carry this anger anymore." She started crying. "Thank you. But I don't want to be friends. I don't want to stay in touch. This is closure, not a fresh start." I understand. I stood up. "Good luck, Lauren. I hope you find whatever you're looking for." "You too, Alex." I walked out of the coffee shop and didn't look back. That evening, I called Jennifer and told her what had happened. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Lighter. Like I finally put down something I've been carrying for too long." "That's good. That's really good." "Yeah, it is." "So what now?" "Now? Now I stop living in the past. I stop defining myself by what happened to me. I start building something new." "With me?" "If you'll have me, I'll have you." 6 months later, Jennifer moved into my condo. It was a big step, one I wouldn't have been ready for a year earlier, but I was ready now. We made the space ours. Her books mixed with mine, her photos on the walls, her laughter filling the rooms. It felt like home in a way my previous house never had. Sam came over for dinner one night and pulled me aside. "You did it, boss. You actually moved on." I did. I'm proud of you. Seriously. After everything you went through, you could have become bitter and closed off. But you didn't. You found a way forward. I had help. You, Patricia, Jennifer. I couldn't have done it alone. Maybe not, but you did the hard part. You chose to heal instead of staying broken. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, I received a letter from Lauren. It was short, handwritten, mailed from Lewiston. "Alex, I know you said you didn't want to stay in touch, and I elaborate. Sam was my best man. Mrs. Franklin cried through the entire thing. As Jennifer and I exchanged vows, I realized something. I'd spent so long fighting to protect what I had that I'd forgotten how to build something new. But here, with this woman who'd waited patiently for me to heal, I was finally building again. The past would always be there, the betrayal, the revenge, the year I'd spent dismantling Lauren's life, but it didn't define me anymore. I was more than the guy whose wife tried to destroy him. I was the guy who fought back, survived, and found a way to be happy again. And that was enough.